working with publishing, because, well, there are some few. Hello everyone, I'm Wogisha Denis Kruger. Hope you're doing very well in the holiday. Unfortunately, by the time we went home, we had a lot of things to cover. I want us to embrace technology and discuss some theoretical concepts. So as you can be very active, those with computers, those with resources can make use of them. Well, according to the National Curriculum Development Center syllabus for A-level ICT for senior 6, by term 1, we had to discuss data communication and networking and electronic publication. Data communication and networking was theory, but this was practical. Very fortunately that as our institution, Bugisu, by the time we went home, we had finished data communication and networking, and we are switching electronic publication. In this presentation, I am going to share with you theoretical concepts of electronic publications to prepare us for the upcoming tutorials we are going to use to learning how to use electronic publishing software so as to create different print publications. Before we get started, I would like to recognize a few people. We are using resources that is developed and prepared by one of our friends. Rogers Mukalele is the author of the book I used to prepare my content. The book is called Subsidiary ICT for Uganda. And well, those who are interested in getting the book, I want to encourage you to visit the site www.mukalele.net to make an order of the book. However, for today, we're going to look at electronic publication. Electronic publication is topic 12. And it is taught in senior 6 term 1. Those who had covered it in your schools, that is very good. And those who have not covered, who had not yet covered by the time you went home for this COVID holiday, you're going to get theoretical concepts that will prepare you for the upcoming videos. Now, getting started, electronic publication has a topic, has 5 subtopics that I'm going to go through very quickly. Now, probably before we outline the subtopics, I want you to know this topic is going to give you skills. Well, professional users who use this software are regarded as graphic designers. By the end of this topic, I want to really give you assurance. If you will follow all the videos, you will be in position to create sophisticated documents, like I'll be giving examples, say banners, certificates, business cards. Of course, I've said here in our learning outcome, by the end of the topic, you will be in position as the learner. Sorry, you as the learner. Okay. Well, let's switch over to the outline, just because of technology. Now, like I said, the topic has 5 subtopics. The first subtopic is Introduction to Electronic Publishing. In this subtopic, I am going to share with you the theoretical concepts, the terms associated with creating publications using publishing software. The second subtopic is called Publishing Basics. And this is having skills that are very, very pertinent for you to get started with print publications. The third subtopic is called Document Enhancement. Having received basics to create some print publications, we shall now have a separate lesson where we enhance our publications. The third is document layout, and the fifth is called advanced features. Allow me to introduce the first subtopic, which is Introduction to Electronic Publication. Now, Introduction to Electronic Publication has a few objectives, a few parts that are very important that we are going to look at. When I say I'll finish electronic publication, you'll be in position to explain the meaning of electronic publishing. You'll be in position to give examples of publishing software. You'll be in position to browse or to explain various features of electronic publishing software. And you'll be in position to give various application areas with different users of publishing software and print publications. Those are some of the objectives. So let's get started with the meaning of electronic publishing. Well, I acknowledge this is not something new. Those who have read newspapers, those who have always worked in several companies, you might have seen these publications or even made use of publishing as a word. Now, of course, I've said electronic publishing can also be known as desktop publishing, and I've said this refers to the laying out of text, graphics, and pictures in order to produce professional, good-looking applications. And I've said for us to make these print publications, or for us to lay out text or graphics and pictures to produce good-looking print publications, we use desktop publishing software. Now, the learner, if you're following me, I want you to have distinction between these two words. We have what is called desktop publishing and we have what is called desktop publishing software. So, desktop publishing software are the programs or the software that we are going to be using to lay out text, graphics, and pictures in order for us to produce professional, good-looking print publications. So, as I move further, I'm going to give you examples of some of the print publications we can create using electronic publishing software, and I'll also go ahead to give you examples of the programs, so or call them desktop publishing software, usually abbreviated as DTP software. Now, moving further, I know you have made some of them. Maybe you didn't know you were using desktop publishing software, or perhaps you could have seen a colleague using it and you asked him, he told you that was desktop publishing software. So, although they are variety, for me I've given you a few of them, and I will ask you to use Google as a search engine to learn more of the desktop publishing software. Those that I've given you, we have Microsoft Publisher. I think I should inform you we are going to use Microsoft Publisher in our upcoming videos to create several print publications. However, we have also Adobe PageMaker, we have Quark Express, we have Adobe InDesign, we have CorelDRAW, Studio Publisher, Scribus, and lots of many others. I've not talked about Adobe Photoshop, I've not talked about Adobe Illustrator. All those believed to be examples of desktop publishing software. Now, moving further, I want you to know we also have other online publishing software. We have another one called Canva, we have FatPage, and so on. These are not the only publishing software we have. We have lots of them, so I want to encourage you to use searching in Google and type there publishing software. You will have several of them. So let's move further because of the time. I want to give you a screenshot. Let's give you a look at Scribus. Scribus, the program window looks like this. Unfortunately, I've already promised to discuss Microsoft Publisher. So those who are interested and who are eagerly waiting to see how the Microsoft Publisher looks like, you just have to be confident and keep following my videos as we move on. So, moving further, of course, be aware we have defined electronic publishing and we have given distinction between electronic publishing and publishing software. We have went ahead to give examples of publishing software, the programs, the software we use to lay out text, graphics in order to make professional, good-looking documents. Well, moving on with futures, I'm not going to take a lot of time explaining this, but I wanted to let you know that some of you have used word processors. By word processor, I mean word processing software like Microsoft Word. You have struggled to prepare some documents. Well, we have taught learners how to create a certificate in Word and also create some print publications. But like you will see that this publishing software that I'm going to teach you, Microsoft Publisher, has got similar features to Microsoft Word. And those of you who had learned Microsoft Word, you're going to find it very easy, or you're going to find it very easier working with Publisher, because well, there are some features which are very similar. Okay, let me try to paraphrase a few of the features of word processing that are similar to desktop publishing in my presentation. Well, I've said desktop publishing and word processing have similar features if you note it very carefully. So what are these features? One of them is the copying, the editing, or the formatting tools, like you would see. I've said both of them deal with text well. You can type work in Microsoft of adding pictures, adding tables, and so on, and thus meaning that we have similar features of word processing software. Okay. Microsoft Word and Publisher also share some common tools. Word art, we always use word art to change the formatting of text to different art styles. We also have color schemes, a gallery of colors. Then we have text boxes. A complete tab is there available on Publisher window, like I will really illustrate having text boxes and having the ability to allow us to format text boxes. So there are also differences. Why would I have opted to teach you word publishing software? Rather, why have I opted to teach you electronic publishing software rather than teaching you Microsoft Word? So you acknowledge that Microsoft Word or word processing programs are designed to focus on text, but Publisher or desktop publishing programs help us more on the structure or the display of content. Well, I need to be very skilled for you to lay out or control the position of text boxes or control the position of text. But with Microsoft Publisher, it is very easier because, like you will notice, the program window really there allows the user to add text in form of text boxes. There are very many more other distinctions. To say WPs, I mean word processors, are generally more condensed than DTPs and so are better suited for transfers. Then on the contrary, the other side of saying desktop publishing allow, of course, the design of large size and more complicated file formats, like you're going to see, which can be calendar. If you're designing Microsoft Word, at most can allow us to design a document in A3 size. But there are some other large sizes, like I'm going to be explaining sizes, paper sizes. We shall look at A4, A3, and other bigger sizes. So, holiday makers, I want you to know Microsoft Publisher is very practical. By the end of this, perhaps I would think you'll even solicit money from your probably members of the village. I know you'll have contracts designing posters, you'll have contracts designing invitation cards. And if you have got these skills and practiced, I want to give you assurance you will earn a living and life will move on very well. So I want us to resume with the other objective of the introduction to electronic publication, which discusses the application areas, uses for electronic publication. Well, desktop publishing software can be used in a number of areas, and this question is always examined. Like I had said, the very first question you to meet is define the term electronic publishing software, and then give examples of five examples of electronic print publication. So these are the applications, or these are the different print publications we can develop using publishing software. One of them are the advertisements, we have award certificates, banners, brochures, business cards, business forms, calendars, catalogs, envelopes, flyers, birthdays, invitation cards, labels, postcards, letterheads, menus, newsletters. Well, like I said, I may not have time to discuss how to design all these print publications, but in my subsequent videos and lessons that you can stream live on Facebook, dealing with Mbale, and that you will have on our ITAU channel on YouTube, like you will be notified very soon through the social media. I will prepare subsequent videos how to design the banner, how to design the brochure, business card, the flyer, and so on. Well, I wanted to give you a visual look of these print publications. I know some of you have met them, some of you have interacted with them, but others might be listening to these theoretical concepts and it is your first time to use print publications. Well, this is an example of a banner. You can internalize it. If you have to design this in Microsoft Word, it will be very difficult for you to lay text. Though Microsoft Word has got the alignments, the left, the center, and the right, and so on, it will be very hard. Actually, it needs a lot of experience for you to lay out text boxes to come up with such a print publication in Microsoft Word. However, as we still go on in Microsoft Publisher, you're going to acknowledge that this is very simpler, and in the subsequent videos we shall have an activity where we shall design something like this. Also, we have a certificate as another example of print publication. An example of certificate is here. Microsoft Word can also help you design something like this, but like I say, it becomes very difficult for a starter to lay text boxes in the program window to look like this. But with Publisher, it is a bit very easier. Another example of print publication I need to show you is a receipt. And I want to show you a receipt as well. Sorry, I can go back. A receipt is here. It also is difficult for you to lay out text boxes, although you can make use of Microsoft Word too. I have an example, another example as a business card. Very simple like this. Well, whereas this looks very simple and you can write it or you can organize it in Microsoft Word, it now becomes very, very difficult for you to print it in a very small size and probably lay them on an A4 paper without a difficult. So with Publisher, we shall design one business card layout and we shall lay the others on the paper. Commonly we use the word tiling. We shall tile them on the paper. I want to also bring to you that we have other print publication like the calendar. There is a sample. And of course, I've said very difficult with Microsoft Word, but with Publisher, all these text boxes can be laid out very easily. Well, let us, before we move to the next theme, do some summary and overview. We have looked at the meaning of electronic publication. We first of all started by defining desktop publishing. We went ahead to discuss also desktop publishing software. I want you to be in position, the holiday maker will receive the notes and who wish to get more notes, I will, I think, upload the book and you have it. I want you to be in position to differentiate them, desktop publishing and desktop publishing software. Be in position to give examples of publishing software and also be in position to give examples of print publication. When we talk about print application, we mean the different objects we can create with publishing software. And we have summarized of the certificate, we have summarized of the business card, we have summarized of invitation card, we have summarized of the calendar, and so on. So let's move to the third objective, having looked at examples of publishing software, features of publishing software, looked at examples of publishing software. Now the next thing, according to our Okay, now we're going to the second subtopic. I believe we're now switching to the second subtopic, which is going to be the last thing in this lesson. Now, in this subtopic, I'm going to explain how to create a new document. Now, how do we get started? Having given the various examples of publishing software like Microsoft Publisher, Adobe InDesign, I chose Microsoft Publisher as our software. So we are going to have basic instructions. How do we launch the Microsoft Publisher window? And then what are some of the features of the Microsoft Publisher window now? Not the features of the publishing software. We shall go ahead to discuss then how to create a new document in Microsoft Publisher, and that document therefore is the print publication. We shall as well discuss how to make adjustments. I want you to know that with Microsoft Publisher, before we design any document, we have to plan. Like, let's give an example. You're going to design a business card. It is therefore imperative for you to know the dimensions of the business card. Which size do you want it to be? You want to design the menu? Which size do you want to be? So we shall go ahead to discuss how to take those measurements and how to switch between measurements, inches, pixels, points, centimeters, and so on. And then at last, I'm going to round up this lesson with saving a new document. And I've been concluded beginning with an invitation card or a business card. So getting started with the Microsoft Publisher. Now, why have I chosen Microsoft Publisher? Most of you have laptops and the Office suite, rather the software suite installed on your computer that you can easily get from the software vendor is the Microsoft Office suite. So I've chosen Microsoft Publisher because it is available in the Office suite. So we are going to use Microsoft Publisher for all the examples given above. And before we learn how to, of course, create these documents, let us first of all learn how to start or launch Microsoft Publisher. Well, those of you who are viewing me live on Facebook and have laptops with you, I want to give you very simple instructions to launch Microsoft Publisher. You hold your mouse, click the Start button, and then after that, of course, upon clicking the Start button, the Start menu will appear. So from the Start menu, I want you to select all programs. That is for Windows 7 and those lower versions. But those who are using Windows 10, where there's all programs, you will find all apps short form for application. And then, of course, once you click all programs, like I will illustrate in the upcoming video, you'll have Microsoft Office. You'll have to look for the program folder. The program folder I'm really putting emphasis now is Microsoft Office, where we shall get our Microsoft Office Publisher program. So those are very few, I would say very simple instructions. Click the Start button, then from there the Start menu will appear, and from the Start menu, select all programs, all apps. Then from there, you choose the Microsoft Office program folder. You browse and look for the program folder of Office, and then select Microsoft Publisher. Well, upon opening your Publisher window, of course, it will pop up your screen. And what is now left for us to discuss is to explain the various features. Why I've chosen to explain this lesson theoretically, because I want you to first have the theoretical concepts of the electronic publication. And having had those concepts, I will now in the subsequent videos be explaining to you, even if I don't appear, or even if I chose without appearing myself, I will be showing you how to create the print publications, one each day, and I will ask you to practice after learning from me. Well, this is an example of a publisher window, and this is version 2016. This is how it looks like. I want to continue because I believe somebody who had earlier on opened is waiting for me. So we are waiting therefore to first of all look at the features of the program window. By features, I mean parts of that screen, of that window, which is displayed on your screen. Now, the publisher window, of course, the upper part looks like this. You're aware this first bar where there is publication 1 and publisher is called the title bar. I want you to know this. A Microsoft Publisher is used to create print publication. We have not yet said. That's why the title bar displaying the file name apparently is showing publication 1, because the program is used to create publications. Example, a certificate, example, business card, example, a calendar, and so on. Now when we save the print publication, say maybe certificate, of course the title bar will display that file name, and then the program which we are currently using is publisher. Well, below the title bar we have the ribbon, and apparently I'm displaying the home tab on the ribbon. I want us to just browse through the parts of the home tab. So the viewer who is following me, we're looking at the features. So the home tab contains buttons for common functions, and some of them include the formatting tab, we include editing group. So this is the home tab, and what are the contents of the home tab on the ribbon? It has, of course, groups, but what are those groups? We have the clipboard group, which has elements, which has commands like cut, copy, format, painter, shall later on discuss what these functions or what these commands are used for. We have the next group as fonts, we have the next group as paragraph, and we have the next group as styles. I want you to bear with me that for today I'm going to show you through these features, but when we switch to the next video, I'll be now teaching you how to use these commands. For instance, on the home tab and the font group, we shall use them for formatting, and I'll be explaining command by command, detailing different uses. So we have started with the first tab, and we have acknowledged, we have discovered it has these groups: the clipboard, the font, the paragraph. And in my intro, I've said these commands can be used for basic formatting, insertion, and text formatting. Like I will make use of them as we continue. Now moving on, the next tab is the Insert tab. Like I said, those who have used Microsoft Word window, you'd acknowledge the Home tab and the Insert tab are in that window. Some of the commands for the Home tab in this Publisher window are the ones that are in the Microsoft Word window. The clipboard is in the Microsoft Word window, the font is in the Microsoft Word window, and so on. So also Microsoft Publisher in the Insert tab has got a page group, whereas if you can also check the Microsoft Word window, you'll find the page group. We have the tables group, we have illustrations group. So we are going to use these commands, one, like I've said, to insert text boxes, to insert tables, to insert shapes and graphics to our application. And I want you to save this in your mind. We are browsing the features of the Microsoft Publisher window, and we've looked at the Home tab, we have seen what it consists. I've said the Insert tab has those groups. So when we shall be inserting tables, don't look them on the Home tab, neither should you look for them in the Mailings tab. I want you to recall Insert can help us add pages in our publication, can help us add tables, can help us add illustrations like pictures. We have shapes and so on. And then we have also links having the accents and so on. So allow me for today, like I've said, I'm not teaching the functionality of these commands, but I am letting you know the basics or the features of this window for us to move on very, very well. Now moving on, the next tab, which is called the Page Design tab, has groups like the page setup. Like I said, you cannot create a print publication when you have not understood its size. Like I said, with Microsoft Word, if you open, by default the document is showing A4 size or letter size paper. But now, most of the print publications are very unique sizes. Like say, if you want to design an invitation card, you cannot open up the window and you start typing. You have to set the paper size. And very often we shall use the page design to set up the page, which involves like changing the size of the paper, orientation of the paper. You are aware we have two orientations. This is called landscape, this is portrait. You might be making a design and you want your output to be wide, more wide than it is tall. That is called landscape. So we change the orientation, the margins, and the page setup. Go to Kruger-ITAU channel and following up my Facebook page. I'll be live explaining how to use these groups. So maybe very quickly concluding, the page design tab on our ribbon consists of the page setup group, the layout group, the pages group, the skills, and so on. So we shall use this to set up the page, to control the layout of our page by maybe hiding guides or adding objects for changing the color schemes and so on. Okay, in the interest of time, we can move on to the next tab. The next tab is called the Mailings tab. And the Mailings tab, like I've said, is used for mail merging. You know, in Microsoft Word, we have a complete Mailings tab. If you have created one letter and you want to send to several recipients, we use the Mailings tab. And I want to appreciate those who have had time to practice how to use the Mailings tab. Like I'll be showing you later on, we shall design our certificate and also design a list of recipients or the list of students to receive the certificate. And instead of creating name by maybe post each for each certificate, we shall prepare two documents. Prepare the certificate on one end, and on the other note, prepare the list of recipients. I want to recognize my fellow comrade, Teacher Aaron. Teacher Aaron has already created a YouTube tutorial on how to use the mailings tab. If you can visit the ITAU channel, I saw this video of using the mailings tab, creating one certificate and sending it to several recipients. So we have the mailings tab, and once I have taught you how to create the print publications, in that lesson I'll teach you how to use the mailings tab. I will conclude this tab by letting you know that the processes or the steps the mailing process takes are the same with that of Microsoft Word. We have the group of start mail night, write and insert night fields, and preview results. And when we get there, I will explain. So let's move to the next tab. The next tab is called the review. I think it's the second last tab. The review tab is not very important to us. It has less functionality. Usually we use it for proofreading. Once you've created your print publication, before you publish it, before you make it available for people to make use of it, we proofread them. So proofreading here involves changing the spelling, maybe trying to correlate the tetherus to upgrade the words, the different vocabularies. Your publication text, we use that review tab. It's not very practical. What do I mean by practical? We shall not use it to create publications, but we shall only use it to review, to proofread, to go through our publication and check the vocabulary or check the language, just see whether it is standard. And lastly, the last tab is the view tab. We can move on. The view tab is very practical. I would really encourage you to know learning what it has. One, it has the view group, the layout group, the show, and the zoom. Now, sometimes while designing your publication, you may wish to display one document, one page at a time. So, if you want to control the view or the display by setting one page or viewing one page, we use the layout and click single page. If you want to display two-page spread, you can always click on this. But I will explain when we are in the other lesson. Today I'm browsing through the various theoretical concepts. At times we wish to show the rulers. Like I say, every print publication we create, we must create the measurements. And at times we wish to create the measurements, but the ruler are not visible. Somebody would have opened and the ruler is not seen. So you go to View tab and check this box of ruler to display the rulers and thus use them for measurements. And then we also have guides. At times we are making very sophisticated documents and we want to have aids in creating something well seen. So guides help us to display some lines in our print publication. We can use for drawing some complicated objects. How we make use of that? We can also use the View tab to hide the scratch area, like I will show. Now, remember our objective was to create a new document. But I could not just dive in creating a new document until I had discussed with you the basics or the features of the Microsoft Publisher window. I've been exploring the different tabs on the ribbon that contain commands that help us to do formatting, do editing, which I'll be making use as we continue. So, how do we then create a simple publication? How do we create a simple publication? Now, to create a simple publication, we need first of all have the skills of saving, of opening, of closing. We have the separate view to the file tab. I've been exploring the home, the insert, but I didn't look at the file tab. The file tab, like I've really written here, say it lets us create, save, open, and close files, or modify the program, the publisher program options. Well, our task is to create a new publication, to create a new document. Fortunately, unfortunately, most of us always want to create publications, but we don't know the layout, we don't know the information which is supposed to be in that document. Like, let's say, you might wish to create a certificate, but you have never seen a certificate and never known the type of information which is supposed to be in that certificate. So, Microsoft Publisher is endured or has got a variety of templates. I want to first ask you to listen attentively. I'm not going to encourage you to use templates. I know there's that quick method of creating a publication by clicking on the template and then making use of it. But I'm not going to encourage you to use templates. Why? I want you to be creative. I want you to do something that will task your mind to thinking and thus developing your creativity. So templates only allow us to learn how a document looks like, how a print publication looks like, and at times to know the information which is supposed to be in that print publication. So let's look at some of the commands in the file tab. I've already explored. Earlier on I told you we have new, open, save, save as, print, share, export, close, account, and options. By the end of this lesson, I desire that you have basics of opening publisher window, of course having acquaintance of the various parts of the program window, and as well having capacity to create a simple document and save it. So if you're going to create a new document, always click the file tab and then click new. This command is on the file tab, and upon clicking new, let's move on. Upon clicking new, you will see, of course, the upper part, we have the create new, blank, and then we have templates. I've already told you, templates help us to know how the document looks like, to have aid on the information that print publication must have. With me here, of course, I chose one of the template as the award certificate. I already acknowledged Mbale Rogers. And I want to encourage you to download the book, or call obviously www.mukale.net to get more information, or to get the book which you can read. So these are templates of certificates. You can simply click on any of the template and change the information there to have created quickly a print publication of your choice without suffering. But I have already disregarded that, and I want us to create a new publication from the new tab and from the blank, like I'll be explaining in the next video. Lastly, let us look at this other objective of our lesson of adjusting measurements, units, and rather adjusting measurement units to different formats. If you always open by default, this ruler has measurements displayed in inches, but you may wish to start your print publication by using a ruler to make measurements, for instance, in centimeters, or you may wish to use pixels and so on. So I'll be explaining to you how to use Microsoft Publisher to adjust the measurement unit. And some of these things are looking very complex, because somebody who is following me may practically be confused. But like I said, the objective of this lesson is to get those theoretical concepts we shall need in the next tutorial, which is purely practical. Well, for us to change the measurements, we click the file tab. Upon clicking the file tab, when that drop down menu appears, we go to options and click advanced. And once we click advanced, we can always change the measurement units from this part. You click this drop down menu. You click the drop down and you have a list of different measurement unit formats. We have pixels, we have points, we have centimeters, and so on. So quickly, we've looked at the meaning of publishing, and then we have looked at the meaning of publishing software. We have chosen Microsoft Publisher, learned how to open Microsoft Publisher theoretically, also learned the features of the publisher window. I've only chosen the ribbon today, which is very practical. And then I have taught you how to create a new publication theoretically by choosing a template, and I chose certificates, our certificates. And then I've shown you how to change the adjustment measurement units, or to adjust the measurement units. Lastly, before we conclude our tutorial today, I want us to look at how to send a new document theoretically. Having started publisher, clicked new, maybe chosen blank document, and you have created your publication, how do we save it? Still, that is making use of the file tab commands. So to save our document, we always use the file tab. From the file tab, we click save. However, I want you to know the difference between save and save as. Fortunately, if you click the file tab, we have save and we have save as. Well, the save command helps us to keep changes or to keep modifications that we have added to a file, and to keep them permanent, to move them from RAM into the hard disk. If you want to change the file name, like say you have saved the file and you want to change the name of the file, then you use the save as command. And upon clicking save as or clicking save for the very first time, the dialog box, the save as dialog box always pops up our window. Within this dialog box, actually, when you click save and this dialog box appears, it's just imperative that you have not yet saved the file. And that therefore will require you want to choose the location where you're going to save the file. It will require you to create the file name and then of course click save. You can also be required to change the file type. You can save the file as a publisher file, as a PDF, like as a JPEG, like I will explain. So how do we save our file? If we have created a file and we want now to save it, friends, we click the file tab and then click either save or save as if it is for the first time. And when the dialog box appears, we choose the locations. You want to save on the desktop, you want to save in the documents, or which other location do you want to save in. Upon choosing the location, additionally, you are required to give the file name or to choose the other directory. If maybe you have a folder on the desktop, still you can select from this playlist. So I will be explaining practically in the next video. We'll explain the very theoretical concepts that you need to know for you to begin using publishing very well. So on Mbale, those who want to obtain the book, you can visit www.mbale.net and download the book. I also want to appreciate Mr. Aaron because he has also devoted time to preparing other videos from the East. I will call upon other teachers to embrace the technology, prepare some lessons, and students, let us use Facebook to stream these videos. Let us use internet, maybe to visit YouTube. I will notify you on Facebook when I will be posting this lesson on our Kruger-ITAU channel. So those who don't know can visit the YouTube and type the ICT teachers in Uganda and have our YouTube channel subscribe, and you keep receiving various comments and feeds or notifications whenever we have updated or uploaded any video. Thank you very much. I have been Wogisha Denis, IT instructor. I look forward to meeting you on Monday for the second practical lesson on designing a business card using Microsoft Publisher. Thank you.